Wotakoi was a manga series that I thoroughly enjoyed. It was so fun from start to finish. The characters were great and the comedy was next level. One thing that I really liked as well is that this was an adult romance series and not a high school romance, as we don't really get to see that all that often, so it is very refreshing. But also, the main characters being otaku makes them extremely relatable for anybody reading this series, as there's a large chance that they are as well, which makes the characters way more relatable and makes the jokes land a whole lot better. With the focus of the series being on otaku and otaku culture, the jokes land pretty consistently as long as you are a part of the same culture. Which, if you're watching this video, I assume you are. The mangaka knows the culture very well and knows the types of conversations people are having about their favorite characters. Or even shipping culture, which is a huge thing. This all makes the comedy hit so hard because it literally feels like a few buddies just sitting around and talking, making jokes and having a good time, and that to me is one of the reasons why the comedy works so well. There are other elements that are really funny as well, like when we see the fights between Koyanagi and Kabakura. That shit is so funny, as you know they have been together so long and they love each other, but they each have different ideas of certain things and they get into heated arguments all the time. Those fights always end up being hilarious. There is something really unique that I've only seen Wotakoi do, and it is something I really like for this series. And that is that they split up the story arcs. What I mean by this is that a volume will have a story event that it is about, and the first chapter will start whatever story arc it is. But then, they will sprinkle in other stuff throughout the volume, splitting the story apart. But it surprisingly works really well and flows nicely. It often feels like the stuff they are using to split up the main story is happening at the same time as the main events that we see taking place in the volume. Not always, sometimes it is just random side stories, but it also is really good. And it made the whole series really fun to read. So I've talked about the comedy in the series, and that is something most people would tell you is pretty good. But something I don't hear a lot of people bring up is how well the series handles emotional moments. The series is most definitely a comedy, but there are a lot of moments throughout the series where you get really serious. The series has trauma that its characters deal with, it also has good romantic drama, and leaves you wondering about the future sometimes. The series does a really good job at balancing between comedy and serious emotional moments that it makes you want to cry sometimes when reading the manga. I know I certainly did quite a few times throughout the manga. Especially involving the main couple and his younger brother and his relationship, some of the stuff written in those parts of the story were really well done, making the emotions flow a lot more than normal. Besides the series being really emotional, there are also a lot of cute and wholesome moments throughout the series. With the series focusing on three couples' everyday lives, there is of course going to be a lot of moments throughout the series that you think are really cute, and let me tell you, their cute moments are next level. There are so many moments where the girl is having an emotional breakdown over something valid, and the guy comes in and saves the day by being there and knowing what to say. There are also lots of moments where there is gift giving or just two people hanging out, and all of those moments are super cute and wholesome and work out so well. One of the best things about Wotakoi is the characters. Each of the 6 main characters are really good for many different reasons. The characters have good interactions with each other and they feel like real friends, which is awesome. Alright, let's actually get to talking about the characters, starting with Narumi, the main character. Narumi is a really interesting character as she's the only one who is actively trying to hide the fact that she is an otaku from people. This is all because of trauma she has of her past, from being rejected from people for being her true self, which does actually make for some really great scenes throughout the series. Narumi is someone who had to deal with a lot of crap throughout her life, but has finally found a group of people who love her for being herself instead of some fake persona that she throws on. Hirotaka is also the perfect boyfriend for Narumi. He is straightforward and blunt, and he doesn't let people hurt Narumi. He is there and supports her hobbies, even to the fact that he is sometimes the only guy at her comic booth selling yaoi fanfics of her favorite characters because she wanted to go to the convention. He doesn't have any shame and he supports Narumi fully. He has his own issues though. He has struggled to form connections with people all his life, and so interacting with people isn't always easy. But that is where the extroverted Narumi comes in to save the day. Both of them each make up for each other's shortcomings, which makes for the perfect couple and amazing characters. Koyanagi is an example of that type of woman who is seen as independent and can handle all of her problems herself, but once you get to know her, you realize that she needs to rely on someone to help her out sometimes, just like everybody else. She is the type of person who fell really far down the otaku rabbit hole. Unlike the others who were already fans of anime and manga and video games since they were children, she didn't start out getting into it until the end of high school by the time she was almost an adult. So her perspective on the culture and the people surrounding it is always really interesting. She does not hesitate to fight with people about the things she is passionate about, which is really respectable. Kabakura is the complete opposite of Koyanagi. He has a scary face, but is actually a pretty reliable guy who is also pretty nice. There are so many things that you don't expect from him throughout the series that make for some really funny moments, but also some really emotional moments. When you look at this guy, you do not expect him to be the type of guy to be easily scared, but he is, and it is so funny, especially because Koyanagi knows this and goes out of her way to scare him several times throughout the series, which just makes the whole series really fun. He's a good guy, but he also isn't all that intelligent when it comes to reading the room and knowing the right things to say or do, but he tries, and that is what really counts. Hirotaka's younger brother Naoya is a cool dude. He is definitely the complete opposite of his brother and really all the other main characters. But that's what makes him awesome, as he gives you the perspective of a guy who never plays video games or watches anime or really any of that stuff. He's also a nice guy and just wants to make friends and doesn't judge people for their hobbies, which makes him really cool. Ko is a very shy individual who struggles to speak to anybody throughout most of the series. She's the perfect example of exactly what you probably think an otaku is. Someone who never leaves their room, has no friends, and can't really talk to people. However, she opens up a lot as the series progresses with the help of Naoya. Seeing her development was some of my favorite stuff to witness in the series for sure. Wotakoi was a really good romance series that I think everyone should give a chance, especially if you're tired of the same high school romances we get all the time in anime and manga. This series will be right up your alley if you're interested in otaku culture, which you probably are if you're watching this video, so it's really good.